Jacksonville Jaguars fans, welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan DeLugo. Thanks so much for being here. Sunday, September 14th. Your Jacksonville Jaguars have just fallen to the Cincinnati Bengals in Cincinnati to fall to 1-1 on the season. 1-1 in the Liam Cohen, James Gladstone, Tony Baselli era here in Jacksonville. And, what can you say about this game? We're going to say a lot. I have a lot of notes prepared. Been locked in the whole game, but I think I got to just go off the rip here, off the cuff, and just talk about the mistakes by the Jags offensively. I think that's the story of the game, is the offensive mistakes, lack of effort by some, mistakes by others. We're going to get into it. Really appreciate y'all being here. If you enjoy Jags content, it's all Jags all the time. I know this is a tough pill to swallow. 31-27 is the final score. We'll start with the offensive mistakes, right? Trevor Lawrence, the first interception. Obviously, Walker Little just stood no chance against Trey Hendrickson on that play. And so it's one thing to get beat by Trey Hendrickson. It's another thing to not touch him, basically. And that's what happened on the interception in the end zone. That's also what happened on the final play of the game. Second to final play of the game. But, the sack by Trey Hendrickson at the end there. But Lawrence couldn't get the ball out to where he wanted to get it to on that first interception in the end zone. Very disappointing play. Play that helped define this game in a game that really should not have been close. Joe Burrow leaves the game in the second quarter, and even though the Bengals did some decent things offensively after that, mostly Jamar Chase, the Jags still they should have dropped at least 40 points for the second straight week. But that interception by Trevor, it's on him. Obviously, when your left tackle doesn't even slow down the opposing edge rusher, that's horrible. But still, Trevor Lawrence, you can't have that interception. His second interception of the day, I don't put on him. I put on Brian Thomas Jr., who alligator armed it, who made a business decision, as he did throughout this game. And that's where the lack of effort comes in. The lack of effort by Brian Thomas Jr. in this game. I don't know, is there an unreported injury that he's dealing with? If not, that was really, really poor effort by Brian Thomas Jr. On that play. And then, he had an opportunity to score a touchdown later in the game, and it looked like he just ducked. Instead of going to get the ball, he just ducked. And then 4th and 5, everything on the table. You get that first down, the game's going to end. You're going to win the game. He drops it. Goes right through his hands and hits him in the face. Falls to the ground. That was horrible. That was, even though Brian Thomas Jr. had 4 catches for 49 yards in this game, that was his worst game as a Jaguar. And I could have said that last week too. This was much, much worse. 12 targets, 4 catches, at least twice where he just made a business decision to not try his hardest to catch the football. I also thought on I think it was a corner route where he only got one hand on it. He could have given better effort on that play. He also had Travis Etienne trying to pitch it to him on the last play. It was going to be inconsequential anyways, but it didn't look like he was running hard on that. You had, again, on this one it didn't matter, but the Trevor Lawrence pass that was an incomplete pass that the Bengals thought was a fumble. Everybody in orange is sprinting, screaming towards that football, and Brian Thomas Jr. is just watching them. Lack of effort, man, it's one thing to make mistakes, right? Trevor makes mistakes. He made plenty of mistakes in this game. He gave effort. And even on that play, where it was an incomplete pass, and Brian Thomas Jr. was watching the Bengals run for the football, guess what Trevor Lawrence does? Even though it is an incomplete pass, he goes and makes the tackle. Full effort. So, again, one thing to make mistakes, which Trevor Lawrence made plenty of mistakes. De'Ami Brown dropped a touchdown pass, made a mistake. Horrible drop. Trevor Lawrence threw it perfectly to De'Ami Brown. That's a mistake, a dropped pass, right? Making business decisions in an NFL game when everything's on the line and then dropping the ball, which again, that's a mistake, but the alligator arming, the ducking, the lack of effort, that's all within your control. And Brian Thomas Jr. did not bring that today. He did not bring it. That is severely disappointing, to say the least. Again, Lawrence made some bad decisions, missed a throw or two. Overall, I would say he played winning football. I mean, even though he had the 2 interceptions, I put one of those on him, and even the one that is on him, it's because his left tackle just looked like lost in space there, literally, against Trey Hendrickson. And then the second one I put on Brian Thomas Jr., full stop. The play later in the first half where, Travis Hunter had an opportunity to catch the ball, so reminiscent of the Mike Thomas touchdown from way back when. I think it was like 2009. Can't remember the exact year, against the Texans, where it was pass got batted down and Mike Thomas was there waiting for it, grabbed it, scored to win the game. But Travis Hunter couldn't make that play. I thought he locked Yoshivas up on that pass interference on the final drive by the Bengals. I absolutely did. They called PI on it. That was another one of the differences in the ball game, that pass interference call. Tyson Campbell struggled against he gave up an easy touchdown to T. Higgins. He also struggled against Jamar Chase. Everybody struggled against Jamar Chase. He had 14 catches, 165 yards, a touchdown, 16 targets and 14 catches, 165 yards. That is insane. I give Tyson Campbell credit for fighting, though, and on a critical third down, he jammed T. Higgins at the line, made it an impossible play to complete. He got a pass breakup against Higgins later. Down the field, I mean, he fought, he battled. Jamar Chase is just a stud, and Tyson Campbell's not quite on that level, clearly. But he did fight. He did go for it. He gave effort. I thought the entire defense was really giving a lot of effort overall. You talk about Eric Murray getting an interception, Andrew Wingard getting an interception, Foye Oluokun playing out of his mind again, Devin Lloyd getting an interception, Josh Hines-Allen creating a lot of pressure. On the Dewey interception, Dennis Gardeck is the one who led the pressure off. I mean, he just slammed into the guard and created early pressure, and Josh Hines-Allen and Trayvon Walker came in and applied more pressure. Trayvon Walker got a lot of pressure, quarterback hits in this game. I think even though the defense gave up a lot more than you would like, they played admirably overall. And I think the offense just left so many points on the board. Sometimes when you play the Bengals, it's going to be tough sledding against Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. It just is. It's going to be tough, even without Joe Burrow. And credit to Jake Browning for getting those guys the ball. I think they probably could have done a little bit more on the back end to disrupt that flow. They did overall a good job against T, but even when you do a good job against him, he has the one play, 42-yard touchdown where Tyson Campbell was burnt toast off the line of scrimmage. The illegal shift situation was maddening, and they ended up declining most of them, but that was crazy at the end of the first half. You saw Liam Cohen really digging into Trevor Lawrence the play before Brian Thomas Jr. dropped that fourth down pass for not putting it on his guy, in his belly and stopping the clock and all that stuff. I don't have any problem with that. Like I said, Trevor did make mistakes in this game. I thought overall he played winning football. I thought the running backs played winning football. I thought the Jaguars should have run the ball more than they did. That's something I said. At halftime, I thought they weren't running the ball enough. I still think they should have run the ball more overall. Hindsight's 2020. I had no problem with Liam Cohen going for it on 4th and 5, in the red zone towards the end of the game. Could have taken the Cam Little field goal, would have put you up 6. Would have made it a little bit more of a pressure-packed situation for the Bengals on that final drive. Because if you're up by 6, the Bengals know they have to score a touchdown. And that puts more pressure on them versus knowing, well, hey, if this doesn't work out, we can get the field goal. So to tie it. So, I don't really blame Liam for that. And he drew it up perfectly. He had Brian Thomas Jr. right there, and he just dropped the damn ball. So there will be a lot more to review and to talk about and to look at with this game moving forward. Overall, my instant takeaway is that the offensive mistakes I would first put it on the lack of effort by Brian Thomas Jr. And then I would put it on the offensive mistakes by Trevor Lawrence and a couple others. The De'Ami Brown drop touchdown pass, the Trevor Lawrence mistakes, Walker Little not being able to touch Trey Hendrickson a couple times, those types of things. And, maybe Travis Hunter needed the ball a little bit more. How would it have played out if Travis Hunter was targeted on a lot more plays than Brian Thomas Jr. in this game? Something you have to ask yourself, unfortunately. That's going to do it. We'll talk about it a lot more tomorrow morning. Going to review the tape, all that good stuff. Really appreciate y'all being here supporting the channel. Hope you're able to enjoy the rest of your Sunday afternoon. Get your mind off of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Try to anyways. Y'all try to have a good one.